peers. We now turn to Brigadier General Imran Rashid. Brigadier General Rashid, now retired, served as Pakistan's head of peacekeeping training department. He brings international, regional, and national experience, including distinguished services in several UN peacekeeping missions. Brigadier General, over to you.
Thank you, Taka. Good afternoon, Assalamu alaikum. Distinguished guests and excellencies, I'm grateful for the opportunity of speaking to you on a very important subject, that is countering threat to security and safety of the peacekeepers using technology. And the peacekeepers are in turn supposed to fulfill their mandate delivery, which includes protection of civilians. So it's a very important topic in that aspect. My perspective will be, as Major Cheryl said, from a technical and a sub-technical level. And I will take a lead from her concluding remarks of the acting Millard, that technology is just a tool, but training is the foundation stone of any institutions as such. And then coupled with it, she just mentioned in the answer of the question about by Taka, of performance evaluation of the troops contributing country or of a contingent of our unit, which basically leads to the pre-deployment training of that contingent, of the enablers, whatever training they have in their institutions or their country. So remember, I will be speaking from a center's perspective, pre-deployment perspective, as far as countering threat to security, safety and security of peacekeepers. As we have been hearing in the morning, safety and security and explosive ordnance is an indiscriminate threat that all peacekeepers are faced with, regardless of their seniority or expertise, and therefore basic counter-IED training is a needed pre-deployment training. Well, recognizing this training, I think Major Sheriff will also be knowing there are a number of steps which have been taken since 2016 and before that. One is the 2021 IED threat mitigation strategy, which is basically dealing with counter-IEDs. Then we have a very famous United Nations independent strategic review led by Major General Rawson in December 2021. And in April last year, we have this very comprehensive counter-IED strategy, which calls upon member states to integrate specialized training on IED awareness and counter-drone. Besides there are many UN resolutions focusing on counter-IED, EU explosive ordnance and counter-drones. Concurrently, ladies and gentlemen, UN Secretariat, namely ITS and DPO, the UN Mine Action, Major Raymond, and the Triangular Partnership Program, TACA is part of that, are all involved in refining manuals training materials like explosive hazards awareness training. We call it EHAT. We can structure all these pillars initiatives around three pillars. One is preparing the peacekeeper, one, defeating the device, like the counter-IED 2, and degrading the network. But remember, the foundation stone is preparing the peacekeeper in this regard. However, I will just be now concentrating on the gaps which remain, especially in the first pillar, that is preparing the peacekeepers. There are reports which indicate that only those assigned to search and detect teams in the counter-IED manner are trained in a specialized training, whereas other contingent members, those not in specialized task roles, lack basic awareness, knowledge of IEDs, and the countermeasures, that is preventive and active, required in case of identification of an IED in a mission area. However, as per ISR, the independent strategic review, all uniformed persons be capable of identifying explosive ordnance and conduct basic threat assessment, but it is practically not done. Another challenge is there are in any mission specific IED threat assessment, situational awareness and operations requirements is not shared by the UN Secretariat to the troops contributing country or to the department centers involved in pre-deployment training, which could enable the unit to conduct risk assessment and contemplate deployment of tactical tools like ECM and jammers. Platform like SAGE, with the general officer also mentioned, and unit aware again are only in the mission areas. Presently, the unit commanders and threat mitigation as per mission threat environment during the pre-deployment training. This also restricts the troops contributing country to deploy appropriate technical equipment, like the one Major General Paris again mentioned, remote reconnaissance technology capability and technical staff for effective ID threat mitigation. While infantry battalions, which are the basic maneuver unit to escort convoys or to do other mandated tasks like protection of civilian, do have embedded search and detect teams. S&D teams will be more spoken by Raymond, with equipment like mine and metal detectors, but reliability of counter ID equipment, training standardization of all the TCCs within a mission area, and availability of add-on technical tools, which you have just had in this safe lanes, are left to TCCs with no oversight or no overview by the Department of Peace Operations or other UN departments, that they can check and balance the training is as per their guidelines and policies. Furthermore, search and detect teams and EOD teams have to work cohesively, the disposal teams of IEDs, for neutralizing detected IEDs or in the mission. Therefore, there is a need of conducting, coordinating and integrated training before deployment. Again, I will refer to Major General Charis, as she mentioned the availability of selected explosive ordnance disposal teams as part of an infantry unit, along with the search and detect teams, will definitely address this thing and has to be part of SUR. Many member states have grappling with the evolving IED threats for decades and have developed robust national counter IED strategies or architectures. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan, for example, has established a purpose-built counter IED training organization that replicates the real-life threat scenarios to enable realistic and high-fidelity training. As displayed on the slides, our strategy follows a very comprehensive approach built on experience and expertise. If you see the slide, you have the CEDO, which is the counter IED organization. It has got two prongs. One is the defensive prong, which is regarding the basic awareness, basic training, including search and detect teams, the basic outfit which a unit should have. And if you see on the right side, which is an offensive prong, which is basically EOD, for forensics, integration, evidence collection. And the cycle you see is 6 steps: awareness, search, disposal, explosive scene investigation, forensics, and finally a very important thing, which is network bursting. The third pillar, degrading the network of counter IED strategy. Remember that. So, and this is all integrated into a counter IED training school which we have, which we call it a counter IED explosive ammunition school, which is involved in the training, having counter IED equipments. It deals with awareness, it deals with search, it deals with ID disposal and forensics, and it gives a basic training and an advanced training in different spheres. So this is what Pakistan, because of three decades experience of countering IEDs in certain areas, we have developed a very elaborate system with a very good trainers which are taking care of this training. Before I go to the recommendations part, a critical, often overlooked component of IED threat response is post-blast medical care. The Under-Secretary General of DOS, Khare, also mentioned, as per now, presently there is a UN Brady first aid system which requires a review. and standardization. Pakistan's participation, and this was mentioned during the question answer of the second session, participated in a UN Field Medical Assistance Course, FMAC, at Entebbe, the Regional Training Center, which led us to develop a combat medical assistance course designed to equip selected soldiers. I'm talking about the selected soldiers, not the paramedics, with life-saving skills until advanced support becomes available. The trauma, which a ID person, a limb gone or an abdomen injury, so the person with this medical assistance course can stop the bleeding or do whatever medical cares till the time that medical support arrives. So this is what it is, an add-on as far as ID is concerned. Now coming on to certain recommendations in the last. The first one is basic counter ID and EOD awareness training. As you see on the slide, we recommend that all contingent members to undergo our certified basic training in counter ID and explosive awareness and threat assessment through ITS approved training material. Why ITS? Because this is uniformity of training in all the training centers. Otherwise, every training center is having own threat assessment, own modules, and this integration will be gone once you land in the mission area. We have to support and expand Mr. Taka Triangular Partnership Program to deliver cross-pillar training, including EHAT, the Explosive Hazard Awareness Training, and align ID awareness efforts with UN resolutions, which are plenty, a number of them, promoting an integrated system-wide counter IIT strategy. There are so many things in black and white. There are so many guidelines, policies, training manuals, threat mitigation manuals on EHAT, but one has to follow them. The second point which I also raised and I asked a question in the second session was standardization of training and EOD equipment as per threat spectrum. Now all the missions have different threat spectrum. MONUSCO, MINISCA, UNMISS has a different ID and counter drone threat spectrum. It is not unanimous, one fit all. So we recommend to standardize counter ID and explosive ordnance training and equipment to include the ECMs and the jammers, UNMAS, ready to analyze collaborative training exercise and mission between the troops and police contributing countries to improve operational performance, to operate interoperability and reduce challenges in technical reliability. This did mention during my informal discussion that they have done a sort of this training in Cambodia of different countries led by the Triangular Partnership Program, which was very creative and very fruitful. And then combine proactive threat anticipation with standardized scalable training mechanism. And the last recommendation from our side is regional level ID training before deployment. We can broaden the regional bilaterally counter ID training partnership to improve peacekeepers' safety. Now ID in a counter drone, basically in a mission, is so many establishments or so many entities, enablers doing the work together with fighting units. So they should be having some bilateral counter ID training partnership. And Office of Military Affairs and the Milad in coordination with UNMAS can explore, this is just a recommendation, more multilateral framework at regional level. Like, again, Mr. Raymond told me that they have trained 16 African countries in counter ID strategy, I think last year, to mitigate IID threat and enhance search and detect capability. And definitely, as I just discussed, we have been going through this IDs and counter IDs for the last 2 decades or more than that. We have got this counter ID organization, very elaborate trainers. So Pakistan is offering to utilize Pakistan CEDO to conduct training of the trainers while through a bilateral agreement while they come, and this CEDO has already trained 26 countries, and some of the countries are participating in peacekeeping missions, or they can have another modality methodology of sending a mobile training team to that specific country to train the master trainers in counter ID. I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Brigadier General, for your insights and for sharing with us Pakistan's comprehensive approach to countering IED threats. I must also join USG Kare in thanking you and Brigadier General Dr. Asim Niaz and Pakistan's military leadership for your leadership in adapting the TPP's Field Medical Assistant course into your own national combat medic courses. I think this is an excellent example of how member states can multiply the impact of UN training by adopting it into their national training to improve field effectiveness. Brigadier General, during your talk you shared several important IED training. Could you please elaborate on the distinction between basic IED awareness and the standardization of training and equipment with reference to the nature of the threat spectrum?
Thank you, Chaka. Well, first of all, thank you very much for naming an officer, Brigadier Asim Muthar. I just spoke to him yesterday. He's there in a nearby city from Sialkot is a place. He is a surgeon, and as per his report back, he has already trained 200 doctors in that medical first aid assistance course, taking a lead from this FMAC. And what the vision is that they are about to train ma'am. Among 10 soldiers, 1 soldier should be trained in the field medical assistance course. Now it is an advanced level of the first aid, which basically a paramedic, a nursing NCO gives to a soldier the moment he encounters an injury, and he tries to take care of the wound or take care of whatever the blast effect is as far as counter ID is concerned. And we are on that move. He's training it. He's making centers in different cities of Pakistan where he will be able to train different persons within Pakistan for this medical assistance course or combat medical. So, but he took a lead from this training in Entebbe, Kenya, his place, where the thing started off. That was a bad role. Your question regarding the difference between the IED training shades, which I just mentioned. First of all, that in my personal opinion, I've been in this institution, I have been in this institution for 9 years. We have never trained those soldiers, telling you very candidly on ID, what is an ID, what is the nature of employment, what are the tools which are used in IDs, what are the ground signal indicators, how to detect an ID. So that is a missing link. And then I dispatch my unit to Congo, CAR or UNMISS, and then the UNMISS has to train them. So basically on the first day if they encounter an ID, so it is something which is rocket science for them. So the basic awareness is a must for all the troops contributing country. And what we can do is that the TCCs or the centers should certify that this female or a male peacekeeper is trained in basic awareness and threat assessment of a explosive device, how to counter a ID, that is where. The second part is how to standardize the training. We have yet to receive some threat assessment formally from the mission area of the type of IDs the troops encounter in MONUSCO, in MONUSCO, in UNFIL, or in UNMISS. So how do I train my troops that this is the type of IDs? They can be a victim operative ID, they can be a personal born operated ID, they can be a remote control or radio controlled ID, so one has to train accordingly. So you have to standardize the training accordingly of the troops contributing country or the particular country going in a mission in MONUSCO, Congo, I just said, along with the requisite tools that this is what do require. Are the metal detectors only sufficient, or do they require ECM or jammers for that? So that is a level of standardization of the training before they are deployed in the mission area. so that the day they start delivering whatever they are supposed to be mandated to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Brigadier General. Our last speaker is my colleague, Mr. Raymond Kamei, with whom the TPP team and I have collaborated extensively on the cross-pillar EHAT training. Mr. Kamei serves with the IED Threat Mitigation Advisory Team of UNMAS. He has more than 20 years of experience, having previously served in the Kenya Defense Forces and with UNMAS Mobile Training Team in Entebbe, Uganda. Ray, the